And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're talking about the injury report for the Washington Commanders as they get ready to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And some of the key takeaways from the injury report right now, as what we have learned, is that Brian Robinson Jr., he is out. He is not going to play. He's going to be missing his second straight game with that hamstring injury. We're also going to be without Cornelius Lucas. He's going to be missing his second game with an ankle injury. Then also too, Marshawn Lattimore, he is going to be missing with a hamstring injury. He had a hamstring injury coming over from the Saints. And so let's start with Brian Robinson Jr. and just the impact there. We are losing the leading rusher on the team without Brian Robinson Jr. He has contributed 6 touchdowns on the year. He's having about a 4.6 average as far as the carries are concerned. And then right now, too, he's our leading running back. He brings that physicality, that type of identity. So you don't have him. That means that you have to rely a little bit more on Austin Eckler, who at this point in time, in comparison to the yards, Brian Robinson Jr. at 461, he's at 282. Now, Austin Eckler has made some splash plays out there, and he does have a little bit bigger of an average at 5.6, but you're going to have to rely on him carrying the football a little bit more in this game. That also means that Jeremy McNichols is probably going to be called upon a lot more as well. On the season, he's got 183 yards at 5.4 an average, so both of these running backs are doing a great job as far as their averages are concerned, but it puts a lot more pressure on them, and it also puts maybe a little bit more pressure on Jaden Daniels as a runner. And so something that I talked about, the Washington Commanders really don't want to necessarily rely on. I don't think that you want to put Jaden Daniels in a situation where he has to operate a little bit more as a runner than just a thrower back there, because I think that it is going to be important for him definitely to make sure that he is able to really pick the Steelers apart down the field. And also, too, you want to take those runs as they come, but I'm hoping that we get a little bit more of a balanced attack from him, and they don't make him one-dimensional either, because if they take away the pass and then they turn him into a runner, that essentially is what happened to us in week 1 against the Bucs. So we don't want that. We want Jaden Daniels to stay balanced. And so you hope that he's able to do that. And hopefully the running backs behind Jaden Daniels are able to still open up the things to where we can now start to look for play fakes and things like that down the field. And so with Cornelius Lucas, I think that is going to be a big loss for the Commanders, because he was rotating in with Brandon Coleman. Talked about the Steelers defense, how they like to get after the quarterback here. And so we are going to need Brandon Coleman to step up. He's not going to have the rotation now of Cornelius Lucas. So that could be a big thing right there, because again, this is a team that does get home with sacks. I talked about that. They've got 19 on the year. And so we have got to make sure that we know where TJ Watt is and some of these edge rushers. And so hopefully our young rookie Brandon Coleman can make those adjustments on the fly. And then lastly, Marshawn Lattimore. And so he's not going to be there. We know that Russell Wilson has been really unlocking this Steelers offense as of late. We know that one of the key things for Russell Wilson is he likes to go deep. He likes to throw the deep ball. And so we don't have Marshawn Lattimore. That means that we're going to have to depend on St. Juste on the outside. And also, too, that means that Mike Sainristil is going to have to step up some more. Even though I love Mike Sainristil, I love everything that he's been doing this year. I think that he's been exceptional for us as a rookie. And it's no doubt in my mind that I think by year 2, I'd expect for him to have an even more of a breakout season, especially once they move Marshawn Lattimore and he plays a little bit more inside. I think that you're going to see some special things from Mike Sainristil, but he is going to be in a situation where he's going to be challenged, because they just traded for Mike Williams over there. You do have George Pickens, and so those players are going to challenge us on the outside. And then also, too, you still have Najee Harris and these guys coming out of the backfield, and they're tight end. Those things are going to really challenge a lot of what Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu are doing as well. So, there's challenges certainly in the secondary, and that is going to be a big loss for the Commanders without Marshawn Lattimore. And lastly, this was questionable. We see that Austin Cyber is limited again with a hip injury. And so because of this, the team had to go out and they had to sign a kicker in Zane Gonzalez here. So hopefully, our starting kicker is able to go, but that could be an issue as well. We saw that happen before with the Giants not being able to kick field goals and having to go for it essentially on a fourth down when you don't have your kicker. So there's a lot of different factors that are going into this game from an injury standpoint for the Commanders that they're going to have to overcome against a tough Steelers team. And so as we go ahead, we move on from just the injury report and we look at some more key statistics for this game for the Washington Commanders. Again, I talked about the fact that, going into this, that this secondary is very optimistic, are the Steelers. And so right now, 10 INTs, they've got 8 touchdowns, and they've ranked 5th right now in the NFL. And so, I've just talked about the fact that we are not going to have Brian Robinson Jr. and just the fact that now Jaden Daniels is going to seriously have to stay balanced with this attack for Washington, because again, you can't get one-dimensional, and you also don't want to get into a situation where you are just behind and you're having to pass the football, because that is just going to play right into the hands of the Steelers. Because really, for as many sacks as they get, it's not like they're dialing up a whole bunch of pressure. I think a lot of their sacks have been off natural pressures. And I would have to say that when you're chasing points in games and things like that, and they know that you're chasing points, that is going to be the opportunity for, maybe a Preston Smith, a TJ Watt, and these players to kind of get home now, because they know that they do not have to worry about the run. So whatever the Washington Commanders do, I would say the key aspect on offense is do not get away from your identity, which is running the football. So they have got to make sure that they continue to run the football. And even if you are not running the football that well, you still want to go out there. You don't want to do what you did against Baltimore and get away from it. But I would say that you would want to incorporate some of the short screens as well. Like, let's see if Austin Eckler can possibly get one-on-one against a linebacker or a corner and slip out of that and get to some huge plays. And because those screen passes, they're actually an extension of the run. So I would expect for the Washington Commanders to do a little bit more of screen passes and things like that to try to slow down that front of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I would expect a little bit more of that, especially since Brian Robinson Jr. is not going to be there. And so anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this recent injury status with the Washington Commanders. Do you think that that is certainly going to play a factor against the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And so, look, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Washington Commanders, just some last-minute adjustments that the Washington Commanders are going to have to make in order to win this game. And certainly we'll be looking at the final injury report going into this to see exactly what the Washington Commanders are going to have out there on the field. So till the next one, this is Rico. This is Washington Commanders Insider. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.